He called me selfish, like I was the problem in his life. I still remember the way his voice echoed through the house that night, cold, sharp, final. It wasn't just anger. It was disappointment, wrapped in years of silent judgment. I stood there, holding my breath, just hoping he would take it back. But he didn't. I gave you everything, he said, pointing toward the door. And this is how you repay me. You think only about yourself. If you can't live by my rules, then maybe you shouldn't live here at all. Those words didn't just hurt, they shattered something inside me. I wasn't always the selfish daughter in his eyes. I was the one who stayed quiet, who followed every rule, who sacrificed my own dreams just to keep peace in the house. I chose the college he wanted. I turned down opportunities he didn't approve of. I even ignored my own happiness, because I thought that's what love looked like. Obedience. But somehow, no matter how much I gave, it was never enough. That night, I wasn't even arguing. I was just asking for one thing. A chance to live my life on my own terms. A job in another city. A future I could call mine. But to him, that was betrayal. You've changed, he said. No, I whispered, barely holding my tears. I've just finally started to see. He didn't listen. And then came the words I never thought I'd hear from my own father. Get out. Silence filled the room after that. Heavy. Suffocating. I looked around, at the walls that once felt like home, at the memories that suddenly felt like chains. And for a moment, I almost begged him to take it back. But something inside me stopped me. Maybe it was the years of being unheard. Maybe it was the pain finally turning into clarity. I picked up my bag. My hands were shaking, but my heart felt strangely calm. If leaving makes me selfish, I said quietly, then maybe I need to be selfish. And just like that, I walked away from everything. But what I didn't know that day was that my silence, my exit, would become the loudest answer he would ever hear. The first night alone was the hardest. I sat on the floor of a small rented room, surrounded by nothing but a suitcase and my thoughts. No familiar voices, no safety net, just me, and the echo of his words. Selfish. That word followed me everywhere. At first, I questioned myself. Was I wrong? Was choosing my own life really that terrible? But slowly, something began to shift. For the first time in years, I woke up without fear. I made decisions without asking for permission. I started working at the job I had always wanted. One, he said, would ruin my future. And strangely, it didn't. It saved me. I worked hard, harder than ever before. Not to prove him wrong, but to finally prove to myself that I wasn't what he said I was. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and in that time, I built something from nothing. A stable job, a small but peaceful home. A version of myself I had never met before, strong, independent, and no longer afraid. But the pain didn't completely disappear. Every now and then, I would check my phone, expecting a message, a call, something, but there was nothing, no apology, no concern, no sign that he even missed me. That hurt more than anything, until one day, everything changed. I got a call, not from him, but from someone who knew him. He's been asking about you, they said carefully. Things aren't going well for him. I didn't respond right away. Part of me felt something. Not satisfaction, not revenge, just a quiet realization. Life had moved on. For both of us. But unlike him, I had chosen growth instead of control. Weeks later, I saw him again. Not in the house I grew up in, but in a place I had built on my own. He stood at my door, looking smaller somehow. Not physically, but emotionally. I didn't think you'd actually leave, he said. I looked at him calmly. You told me to. He hesitated. I thought you'd come back. That was the moment I understood everything. He never believed I could survive without him. He never thought I had the strength, and maybe that was the real reason he called me selfish, because I stopped being dependent. I'm doing fine, I said quietly. Better than fine. He looked around, at my life, my space, my independence, and for the first time, he had nothing to say. But what I didn't expect was how deeply my silence had already changed him. I didn't shout. I didn't blame him. I didn't even remind him of the pain he caused, because I didn't need to. My life was the answer. That was my revenge. Not anger, not destruction. Growth. He sat down, his voice softer than I had ever heard it. I was wrong, he admitted. Those words, the ones I had waited so long to hear, didn't bring the satisfaction I imagined. Instead, they brought peace, because by that time I didn't need his approval anymore. I thought controlling you was protecting you, he continued, but I see now I was just holding you back. I nodded slowly. It hurt, I said honestly, not because you didn't agree with me, but because you didn't trust me. He looked down, unable to meet my eyes. For a moment, we just sat there in silence, not the painful silence from before, but a quiet, understanding one. I'm proud of you, he said finally, and this time, I believed him. But more importantly, I didn't depend on hearing it, because somewhere along the way, I had learned to be proud of myself. That was the real victory. Not making him regret it, but reaching a point where his regret no longer defined me. Before he left, he paused at the door. Can we start again? He asked. I thought about it. About the past, about the pain, about the distance that once felt impossible to cross. And then I said something I never thought I would, slowly, because healing doesn't happen in one moment. It happens in choices, in actions, and time. As the door closed behind him, I took a deep breath. I wasn't the girl who left that house anymore. I wasn't the selfish daughter. I was someone who chose herself when no one else would. And sometimes that's the hardest, bravest thing a person can do. People may call you selfish when you start choosing your own path. But sometimes walking away isn't the beginning of becoming who you were meant to be.